Welcome to the As Yet Untitled Podcast.
With your hosts, Tony and Sean.
Hello, this is episode 2 of season 2 of the As Yet Untitled Podcast. Hope everyone's been okay. Hope everyone's alive. We are.
Well, I think we are.
So today's episode is going to be a completely different episode from the last one, as most episodes are with this show. So don't worry if you haven't seen the last one, you can still listen to this one and you won't feel left out. If you do want to listen to the last one, you should. We tell you a bunch of fun facts about awesome animals.
Yeah.
Because animals are sick.
And the ones that we specifically chose are specifically sick.
Yeah. So this week, we're talking about romcoms, romantic comedies.
I like a good rom-com.
Yeah, I don't mind a good rom-com. They're nice, easy watching.
Yeah, easy watching's the best kind of watching.
If you say so.
The kind where you can just you're watching something, you're not going through some, emotional stress watching, a really sad film.
Yeah.
And you can just sit, I don't know what other people do, but I just sit and knit.
Well, most people, like me, would just sit and watch the film, but...
I'll sit, watch the film, and knit.
Yeah. So we're going to run through our favourite rom-coms, tell you some trivia about them, what we love about them. If you have anything to add, please do tell us. And before we begin, make sure you follow us on Spotify or Facebook or any of the streaming apps that you use. You'll be able to find us at the As Yet Untitled Podcast pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, that's our handle.
Yep, we're on Instagram and all that stuff, so go follow us.
Please, we'd like it.
Yeah. So, do you want to begin or shall I begin with our first one? We'll work our way towards our number ones.
I feel like I can start off.
Alright, go for it.
So I'm going to start off with a classic. I would consider it a classic. It's a very good film, and I feel like everyone I know that has seen it thinks it's a good film. And that's 50 First Dates.
Yeah, it's a good film.
It is a good film.
Yeah. In fact, 50 First Dates is quite high on my list. It's... Let me have a look. It is... Ooh, I think it's number 4. No, where is it? It's number 5 on my list. Number 5 on my list, so we're already going up that high.
Nice. So, it came out in 2004. So it's actually quite an old film.
Well, it's not that old as far as films go.
Yeah, not as films go, but in comparison to where most of my films are on the list.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I've got older ones, for sure.
Huh. But, so it's Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. Mm-hmm. Already a great pairing.
Yeah, back when Adam Sandler made good films.
Yeah. And so the basis of the film is Drew Barrymore's character has amnesia, and Adam Sandler comes in to, her little town that she lives in. I think it's in Hawaii? It seems like it's in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think it's Hawaii.
And he wants to, chat her up, for lack of a better word. And he ends up doing it, flirting a little bit. And then when he sees her the next day, he doesn't know that she has amnesia, and he's confused as to why she isn't talking to him anymore. She's treating him quite rudely. And that's when he finds out she has amnesia, and he tries every day to flirt with her to get her to spend the day with him.
Yeah, because she doesn't know she has amnesia.
Yeah,
she doesn't forget.
Yeah, she doesn't know. Every day for her is the same day on repeat.
And her family are basically going along with that to kind of make it so that she doesn't have to live in distress. So they're spending, her brother and her dad are spending their whole life acting like it's the same day.
Yeah, and it's a pretty sad film, looking at outward, but it has a lot of the funny moments, the different ways that Adam Sandler's trying to get her to just even notice him, pretending that his car breaks down, and then having a full-on mental breakdown for no reason, just so that she would pity him and hang out with him for a day. But it's just really sweet. And then Adam Sandler ends up meeting her family, and they don't like him because he's challenging the way that they've lived their life for multiple years now. Yeah,
and they think that he just wants to, get an easy way of sleeping with someone without them, knowing.
And it shows you basically a progression of months of him trying and succeeding sometimes, not with sleeping with her, but just to get her to like him. And it's just it's nice to see the development of how he influences their family and how they want to approach her having amnesia in a new way. And it has a really happy ending where they're married and they're sailing across the world.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
This one's going to be full of spoilers, so
Yeah,
just
sorry.
be warned.
Yeah, they end up sailing across the world, and he makes a video for her so that every day they catch her up on everything that she's missed since her accident, which caused her to have amnesia, including having them getting married and having multiple children.
Yeah.
And things like this. It's a really sweet film.
It's a terrifying concept, but it's done in a really, like, sweet way.
Yeah, like, he has just, like, such a nice approach to it, which...
It is a really funny film.
Yeah, it is. I realized I didn't find any really, like, fun facts about this film, because some of them kind of work in with another one of my films that I have. So I'm just going to let you move on. Because,
Okay.
Because, like, yeah, I haven't really got any fun facts, but just definitely watch this film if you want just, like, a sweet film. Like, it's very heartwarming and sweet. I do love it.
And it's not particularly sad either, so
Yeah.
it's quite an easy watching film. All right, so the final one on my list, well, final as being, you know, my least best favourite one, the best way of saying it, is Sex Tape. Came out in 2014, starring Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel. It's, well, it should have kind of made it to my worst films list, because it's only got 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Whoa.
People really don't like it, but I mean, I like it. So, and by worst films list, we actually did an episode previously where we did bad films we still love, featuring our friend Logan. So you should go check that out.
Find it on YouTube.
Yeah, be on YouTube, but nowhere else. Yeah, so basically, Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel are a married couple, and they make a sex tape to kind of make their life more interesting. And the film goes missing. And basically the film is them just doing crazy shit to try and get this tape back. And I mean, what's not to love? It's Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz, who are both very attractive people and both very funny people, doing a bunch of very funny things. And
I'm sorry. Jason Segel, like, I find him attractive, but I know he is not on most people's attractive list. He is a huge man.
well, that's other people's wrong. They are wrong. He's awesome. But
He is, but
she,
yeah.
I mean, one of the main reasons I love this film, and yes, it's a shallow reason, but Cameron Diaz does a lot of nude scenes.
You don't see a lot, though,
what's
do you?
not you? Yeah, you do.
I don't remember this film very
Yeah,
well.
it's very good. Also, Jack Black has a cameo in it as the owner of YouPorn, which, I mean, what's not to love? Yeah, so I mean, it's a really funny film. It's a bad film, but it's funny.
Isn't it also got, like, a bit of a heist?
Yeah, it's a heist element because they're trying to get back their thing, and they end up like having to break into YouPorn to try and get it off their servers because they don't really know what they're doing, and they end up getting like blackmailed by like I think it's his best friend's kid or something like that. It's
There's a lot
Yeah.
of layers to the film.
yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about that. And Jason Segel appears quite a lot on my list.
Because he's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's like a lovable teddy bear.
Yeah, he's one of
Like,
he's up
huge.
there as one of my favorite rom-com actors, I think.
It's weird because sometimes I also wouldn't think of him as a rom-com actor, but he is.
Well, I mean, he was great in like The Muppets. He was great in obviously Where
Yeah.
He Came From, How I Met Your Mother. That's brilliant, and he's good in loads of rom-com films and buddy comedies as well.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
So because I had 50 First Dates, I will go for one that is a bit higher on my list, like quite high on my list, but it goes very well with the 50 First Dates, and that is Just Go With It, which is another Adam Sandler film. Now, you mentioned about how your previous film was a was a low-rated film when it comes to critics.
Yeah.
Just Go With It as 19%
Oh,
on
wow.
Rotten Tomatoes, but on all the other like what I can't think of the word for it, like the kind of public opinion,
Yeah.
like not critic reviews, it's rated fairly highly because it is a very nice like.
See, I think I've seen
Heartwarming
this
film.
film, but I don't actually remember it.
So what it's about is Adam Sandler plays a plastic surgeon who is pretty much just like a bachelor. Like, he's rich. He just goes around sleeping with women, and one of his tricks is to pretend he's married but in a very unhappy relationship to get pity sex.
Very moral.
Yes, very. And he goes to like this real fancy party one day, finds this really hot girl who is a lot younger than him, And
Let me guess, Jennifer Aniston.
No, it's not Jennifer
Oh,
Aniston.
okay.
I forgot actually who plays her. Brooklyn Decker.
I don't know who that is.
So I believe she was in.
It doesn't matter. We don't need to know who she is. She's not a main character.
Yeah, she's in Grace and Frankie. That's what it was. So yeah, so he finds her and he's like, oh my god, she's hot, and he doesn't have to do the pity thing to end up sleeping with her. And then when she's leaving the next day, she finds this fake wedding ring that he has in his pocket and believes that he's cheating on his wife. And then he makes up this whole story that he is actually divorced, which is where Jennifer Aniston comes in. She is his assistant at the company he works at the plastic surgery company he works at.
Okay.
So she's like poor, she has 2 kids, and she's not particularly happy in her life. Well, she's not poor, but like she's not as well off as he is.
Well, no, she's a receptionist, right?
Yeah, she's basically a receptionist
Yeah.
or like a consultant kind of person. She doesn't actually do anything. She just helps him out.
Hot take. Doesn't actually do anything. All those consultants and receptionists out there are going to be unhappy with you.
In comparison to what he does in his job. So he basically pays her to pretend to be his ex-wife.
Oh, okay. One of these kind of films.
Yeah, and then like he takes her out to get like all done up, so she actually looks like a plastic surgeon's wife. So she has like all her hair done and has all these amazing outfits and stuff. And then it kind of like he then introduces the girl he's sleeping with to Jennifer Aniston, and then a lot of stuff goes down, and then they end up finding out that she has children, and then it all kind of goes all over the place, and they end up having to go on a trip to Hawaii where they pretend to be a very dysfunctional family on holiday together.
Family?
So it's Adam Sandler taking his ex-wife and his kids, quote unquote kids.
So is this Jennifer Aniston's kids, but
Yeah,
not
Jennifer
Adam's?
Aniston's
Okay.
kids, and not his, but they're not his kids.
But he's pretending to be their
Yeah,
dad.
he's pretending everything. So it's just like this whole dysfunctional family, and it's just them on this trip to Hawaii. So many things just go wrong on this trip, and he's paying for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because he's basically being blackmailed by Jennifer Aniston's kids to take them on this holiday.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, and then they slowly end up like falling in love, like Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, and then
What a surprise. Wasn't seeing that coming.
what a surprise. And yeah, it's just like a really cute film, but it's also got a lot of very stupid, very recent Adam Sandler like comedy. Like it was 2011 that it came out, so it's got that kind of
It's at the end of Adam Sandler's good career.
yeah. So I got a couple of like fun facts that I found out about this film. So this is the second Adam Sandler film to feature a remix of the song Every Breath You Take.
Okay, so he likes that song.
But the first one was 50 First Dates.
Oh, wow.
So he featured it in that film and then was just like, sure, I'll just put it in this one too. Because it works in the context that he uses it in.
Yeah.
But also, this is the first time that Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston worked together, despite the fact that they were friends before either of them got famous. So they knew each other before they got famous.
Huh.
And he tried to convince Jennifer Aniston to join Saturday Night Live, but she turned it down because she had just got cast in Friends.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they have been friends for so long.
I mean, they've been in quite a lot of things together now, though, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been in a couple things now. There was that really
All
bad
crap
film.
stuff.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a really bad film that they worked on together, but this was the first thing that they did together despite knowing each other for a very long time.
Huh. Okay.
So I just thought that was really cool that because I think they work really well together in the film. So
Yeah. Well, I've seen it and don't remember it, so I can't really have a take.
it was a good. I enjoyed it for a long time. It was like one of my favorite films for a very long time for no reason.
All right. So my next one is another Jason Segel film. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, came out in 2008. Jason Segel plays the main character who basically at the beginning of the film gets dumped by Kristen Bell. Another reason why I love the film, because I love Kristen Bell. And then he basically to try and get over her, because he's not doing so well, he goes to vacation in Hawaii alone.
The third time Hawaii has brought people
Yeah.
up in this.
Yeah, so he goes there, but then finds out that she's also doing the same thing, and she's on vacation there. But she's now dating a rock star, played by Russell Brand, being his usual extreme douchebag self. And yeah, it's basically just that disaster, and it's then Jason Segel's character eventually falling for a member of staff at the resort that they're at, who's played by Mila Kunis.
Yes.
And also it has Bill Hader, Paul Rudd, and Jonah Hill in it. So, you know, it's a cast that shows up a lot in my list as well. These guys tend to be in good rom-com films, I found. But yeah, so it's just hilarious throughout. It's stupid as hell. Jason Segel's dream is to do a rock opera with puppets about Dracula, which he obviously does at the end of the film. And what I found out, he actually made and wrote that whole rock opera years before this film was even thought of. Like, he just wanted to do that, and this was his opportunity to actually do it and get paid for it.
That's adorable.
Yeah. And he is the person who's actually playing the piano in the film as well, because, you know, he can play piano because he's awesome. Yeah, the film is partly based on scriptwriter Jason Segel, because he was also one of the scriptwriters.
Yeah.
It's partly based on his breakup with Linda Cardellini.
He dated Linda Cardellini?
Yeah, because they were together on Freaks and Geeks. Right. And they dated, and yeah, it's partly based on his breakup with her and some other of his exes as well.
I have to just bring this up.
Yep.
Who wasn't in Freaks and Geeks? Because I did not know Linda Cardellini was.
Right. Freaks and Geeks is one of the greatest TV shows of all time, and most actors in America that are now doing comedy shows, like, are from that. In fact, I'm pretty sure every single member of Freaks and Geeks shows up in my list of rom-coms.
Nice.
Almost every single one of them. Anyway, yeah, so it's... also, Jason Segel did all of his own nude shoots.
Of course.
And you full-on see his wang. And his mum cried when she saw the film and saw that scene.
No.
You also see Mila Kunis nude, but unfortunately...
Tastefully done.
No. You full on see pictures of her boobs,
right.
But it isn't actually Mila Kunis. They used a body double to do it.
Right.
So yeah, if you were hoping that you actually managed to get a look at Mila Kunis's tartars, you didn't. It was a body double. But you know, oh well. But yeah, so it's just a really funny film.
Yeah.
Like, it's got loads of different actors in it who are hilarious, and yeah, I love it. It's good.
Nice.
All right, what's your next one?
So, because you mentioned about the nude scene,
Yeah.
I feel like I will bring up another film that has a nude scene in it, where
Hell
you
yeah.
actually see the person naked.
Yes.
But that is House Bunny.
Hell yeah!
So, this was one that I was on the fence about putting it in, because if it's technically a romantic comedy, but it's also not, because...
Yeah.
It's
That's not really the main aim of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
mostly
get you.
about Anna Faris, her character, who is a ex-Playboy bunny who gets kicked out of the mansion, and she ends up homeless for a little while, and then moves in to become a sorority mother to a house that is basically full of weirdos. And they're going to lose their house, and she's like, well, I know how to be popular because, well, she's hot as fuck. And...
Because she's a Playboy bunny.
yeah, because she's a Playboy bunny, and she knows how to party, which is what America believes is the whole point in having a sorority. So... yeah, so that's both the basis of the film, and she takes all these, like, misfits and makes them into, like, beautiful bimbos, essentially.
Because that's literally all she is.
Yeah, because that's all she is, and that's
Yeah.
how she knows how to get people to like her.
Anna Faris is brilliant at playing those kind of characters as well.
Yeah,
she's so
she
good
is.
at playing ditzy
She's-
characters.
So out of it, like, the whole time. But then the whole point of the film is just that, like, oh, you don't have to be beautiful in order to be liked, because she then also has... I guess, a glow down to try and seem attractive to the guy that she likes, which is played by Colin Hanks, which I just think is pretty cool that it's Tom Hanks' son that just shows up in this weird film.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he's like really smart and she's not, so then she like dresses in a more drab way, puts on glasses and does like the whole anti-hot look just to try and get him to like her. And then it's all about her realising that, you know, you can be whatever you want to be. That's the whole point on the sorority. Ooh, lovely.
Yeah. It's essentially like a teenage buddy comedy sort of thing.
It is a lot more just like chick flicky.
Yeah, but it is funny.
Yeah, I think it is a really funny film. So Anna Faris actually produced this film because she actually had the idea one day. She was just sitting there like minding her own business. She was like, what happens to Playboy bunnies when they get kicked out?
Yeah.
Like, she was wondering, she was like, what happens when they retire? Like, what do they do?
Well, now they retire young and then they go and become cam girls and get loads more money still.
Yeah.
And then they've made enough money that they don't have to work when they're actually retired.
Exactly, but, like, this was a little while ago. It was in 2008.
Yeah.
So this was, like, before, you know, Instagram models and everything. So yeah, just a couple of different things. So within a 98-minute runtime, Anna Faris changes outfit every 1.4 minutes.
That's fucking insane.
So she has roughly 70 different costume changes.
If she had to do this as a live show, she would die.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's one thing. And also, she has a nude scene in it.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually was going to have a body double. And she was going to have one because they was willing to supply one. They was like, you don't have to be naked on this. We can supply you with a body double. And then when it came to the actual shoot day, she was like, well, my character would be doing this naked. So screw it, I'm gonna do it naked. And she was there with like her very barely nipple covers and like everything that actually protects her. And then all of the other actors around her, that's their genuine response to her walking out naked.
Awesome.
And
oh yeah, because that's when she walks out of like the shower.
Yeah, she walks out of the shower. She's like, "Oh, I'm just in the body that God and like her plastic surgeon gave her."
Yeah, and it's the rest of the sorority girls just like
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just also like thinking about. I didn't mention some of the other people who are in this film. It also has Emma Stone, who is like the nerdy girl. It has Kat Dennings, who's like the punk girl, who has like 50 piercings
Even
all
though
over her face.
These are some of the hottest people alive on the planet, and they managed to make them look, you know, not.
Yes. And I just love Kat Dennings because she's like a super feminist in the film, but she's just constantly looking at Anna Faris, just like, what is wrong with you? You are not legally allowed to be a woman, basically. But yeah, so Anna Faris said that she wasn't actually comfortable doing it, like the nude scene, but she just thought in the moment, yeah, I'll do it. And then it took her a little while to get the respect back as the producer of the film, because the entire cast and crew were there.
Yeah.
Just watching her walking around basically naked. Like, she had a towel wrapped around her. And you actually see, like, her full butt and a little bit of side boob. Tasteful side boob.
Yeah.
So you don't see anything.
Well, I mean, in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, you full on see nipples.
Yeah.
Of the body double, though.
Yeah. But it is just the fact that she had the option to do a body double. And then she just turned it down last minute to do it herself.
Yeah, but then there's Jason Segel just
Wang
flopping around for the camera, just no fucks given.
But yeah, I think, even though it is barely a rom-com, I think House Bunny did fit here quite well. Just because of...
Yeah, it's still kind of a rom-com, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, my next one is not another Jason Segel one.
Oh.
It's 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, yeah.
It came out 2009, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel. Both amazing people. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, again, is one of the greatest rom-com actors that there are. He shows up loads on my list as well. Zooey Deschanel is just, you know, stunning. And it also has Chloe Grace Moretz. Chloe Grace Moretz, who plays Joseph Gordon-Levitt's young, pessimistic sister. So it's basically about a one summer-long relationship between a man and a girl called Summer, who basically doesn't believe in relationships. Like, the girl doesn't believe in relationships, but he does. And they meet through work. And it kind of ends up like an anti-romance film, with the lead guy and the girl not ending up together.
Yeah.
Because she actually ends up marrying someone else despite being against relationships. And he then pursues a career in architecture. And that's kind of how he became happy in the end.
Yeah.
But it's a really realistic story. And it's really light-hearted. And it's got a good message about, like, the flaws and unrealistic nature of romanticism, sort of thing. Like, even though it's a romantic film, it's kind of, you know, telling you that it's flawed and it doesn't really work that way. And they it's all told through the memories from the main guy, like in a non-linear style. So it's basically JGL telling stories about this summer-long relationship, you know, out of context. And yeah, it's a really cool way of storytelling, and the film had like a blue-centric color like the whole way through it because it brought out Zoe's eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, which is awesome, and it works. And the story is actually based on one of the screenwriters' relationships and a real girl called Jenny, who is mentioned in the opening credits, where they state I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's basically like Jenny's a bitch. It's like it literally says that. Yeah, it's just it's full of yeah, it sucks to be Jenny, but I mean she is kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just full of really cool film music references the whole way through it. Soundtrack's really good.
So I saw this before. It was on a different kind of like video that I watched somewhere where it was like it has an unexpected musical number.
Yes.
So it has that thing, isn't it? Like after, like, sorry, you came into this with spoilers, but after they sleep together, he has a musical number. Is it with September playing? I don't know. It's like
I can't remember.
But it's just like soulful music, and he's just like dancing in the street, like, and it's like a whole proper musical production number.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just really cute, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good film.
It is.
Right, what's your next one?
My next one, where am I going to go with this one? I'm going to go for Pretty Woman, to go for a very different kind of area here. So Pretty Woman, starring Richard Gere and... sorry, little bubble in my throat. And Julia Roberts, and it's from 1990, so it's quite an old film.
This might be the oldest one on our list. I've never seen this.
So...
This is actually like a classic.
But yeah, this is known to be a classic. It's very loosely based off of a different film. I can't remember what it is. It's not actually based off the film, but there's like some scenes in it. I can't think of what the film is called, and I'm very bad at that. But...
This is why you do research before.
I did. I still couldn't find what it was because my brain just didn't... Yeah. Where it's kind of like takes a common woman and turns her into, you know, like a lady.
No, okay.
But the basis of the film is Richard Gere is a rich man, and he hires a prostitute to pretend to be his girlfriend for a little while so that his colleagues and his family will leave him alone about being a older single man. So he hires her, I think it's for like just over a week, and it's just to go to a couple of events together, a couple of dinners, just to show, oh, I'm in a relationship, I'm happy, can everyone please leave me alone?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then slowly throughout the film, they end up falling for each other because he's giving her a much better life than what she had because she was broke. Like, she is piss poor and has to be a prostitute in order to stay afloat, and he is disgustingly rich.
Yeah.
Like, the kind of, let's go off to Rome for a night out to the opera kind of thing. Actually, that is a scene in the film where he gets a private jet to go to take her to an opera.
Damn.
And she is also wearing, like, a $250,000 necklace to this opera. Kind of thing. Like, oh, it's a rental necklace, but like...
Rental necklace is such a stupid concept.
Yes, but it's also, like, it's a very valuable necklace, and fun fact about it, it is actually that necklace that they had in the film. Like, it is that expensive, and they had an armed guard who was standing behind the director while this necklace was on set.
Wow.
So he actually had a gun, and he was standing at the director so that if anything happened, he was ready and he was watching the necklace the entire time.
That's mad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, it's a cute film. There are a lot of like problematic things, but I will just put that down to being
old.
It's like, yeah, it's from the 90s.
Yeah.
We didn't acknowledge problematic things in romantic films in the 90s.
Yeah, well, it's barely the 90s. It's 1990, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's 1990. It's like just pushing it. So one of the most problematic things is, in the recording of it, Richard Gere is 40 years old, Julia Roberts is 22.
Well, that's a contentious topic.
Yeah, it's very just like, ooh, that's a bit weird. But, you know, you just kind of ignore it throughout. This is another scene that has a nude scene in it. Another film that has a nude scene in it, sorry.
Nice. One of the best things about rom-coms, really.
You see Julia Roberts' titties just out there for like a second. Like, it's just a little bit of, like...
Tasteful.
As the camera's, like, panning through, there's, like, a lattice kind of, like, room divider. And it kind of... You just see them just, like, popping through the gap. And you're like, oh, look, titties.
Nice.
But
You've persuaded me to watch the film.
It is, like, really sweet because he's showing her, like, this, like, a better life, but she's also loosening him up and showing him that, like, what he's living isn't necessarily the real world. Like, he's just always had money. Like, he's never not had money. And he's just believing he's living his best life, and she's just like, there is a lot more to life than what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got that. Richard Gere wasn't actually going to take the role, but when they met, so Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, they just kind of like hit it off. They was getting along really well. And then he was on the phone while she was there, getting ready to turn down the film. And then she slid him a post-it note that just said, please say yes. And he didn't even second guess it. He was like, he saw that note and just said, okay, sure, I'll take it. I'll take the role.
Oh, wow.
And also, during the sex scene in which you see her titties, Julia Roberts was so nervous that a vein popped out in her head. So they couldn't film it because you could see this vein very, like, obviously popping out because she was so nervous. So the director got into bed with her and Richard Gere and massaged this vein until it went.
That seems like the most uncomfortable thing.
It really is. So it was just like such an odd thing that he was just so comfortable that he would just get in bed, just like massaging her vein. And then also she came up in a rash in this scene as well. So they had to put like the whatever like cream it is to make the rash go.
Because she was very stressed out.
Yeah, because she was so stressed out and so nervous to do it because she was full frontal nude.
Yeah.
So she was so nervous about doing it. And she was so young.
Yeah.
Filming this. And then, yeah, just... So it's just weird, like, the idea of the director getting into the bed with them, massaging her forehead.
Yeah.
But it is a really good film. I really like it. It's a film that I associate a lot with my mum because we would just sit there together and watch, like, Julia Roberts films, but...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a middle-aged woman sort of thing.
What are you saying about me?
Yeah. Anyway, the next thing on my list is another Joseph Gordon-Levitt film.
Yes.
This one is kind of more of a buddy comedy than a rom-com, but I think it's a rom-com. Mm-hmm. It's called 50-50. Came out in 2011. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the lead, and it's basically about him getting cancer, even though he's young and healthy and fit.
Yeah.
And it's basically him trying to deal with that with his best friend, played by Seth Rogen, basically supporting him the whole time. And his girlfriend at the time is basically a cunt and cheats on him. And
strong words.
Well, she is. That's the whole. That is the whole point. Like, he gets cancer, and then she just basically lies to him and then cheats on him and stuff. And yeah, so then he's basically going through cancer on his own, except not, because Seth Rogen's there for him, trying to support him. And it's really funny, and that's what makes it a buddy comedy. But then what makes it a rom-com is that he ends up falling for his therapist, because he has a cancer therapist that's basically assigned to him to help him deal with it. And he is her first real client, and she's played by Anna Kendrick, and it's basically them teaching each other how to, like, her trying to teach him how to deal with cancer, and him trying to teach her how to actually do her job properly, because she's never done it before. And then they fall for each other, and it's just, yeah, it's really touching. And it's like, even though the whole film is about a guy getting cancer, it's a really funny, light-hearted film.
Yeah.
James McAvoy was originally meant to be the lead, but he left due to personal reasons, whatever that means. Yeah. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt was phoned by Seth Rogen, I think, and joined a week before the shooting began. Oh, so he's the lead actor in this film, and it's a really emotional film, and he does a lot of stuff, and it just shows how good of an actor he is, because he joined a week before shooting and then just, smashed it. Like, it's one of my favourite films. I love it.
Yeah.
Also, he adopts a dog named Skeletor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's not to love about that?
Isn't it something that he got suggested to him by Anna Kendrick, isn't it? Something
No,
like that? Or
it's
is
his
just...
girlfriend who basically
Right,
is trying
yes.
to give him something so that she can leave him. So she makes him adopt this dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a really funny film. Another reason why Joseph Gordon-Levitt is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next?
Sorry, I just wanted to say something about 50-50, because there was
Okay.
something I remember seeing about it. So, the scene where he shaves his head,
Yeah.
that's an improvised scene.
That was actually done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read that as well. And
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is literally, like, he wasn't even meant. They got a board cap for him and everything, but then they just kept the cameras rolling and was like, "I'm just gonna do it." And then him and Seth Rogen just literally cut his hair, and it's all like actual takes of it.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen actually, like, losing his mind in the background
Yeah.
shaving it. It's literally like, oh my god. Like, it's all a genuine
Yeah.
response to... It is a really good film.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, my next one is The Proposal.
This is a good film, actually. I really like this
Yeah.
one.
So, 2009, starring Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. So, she is, I believe it's a publisher. Like, I think she works for a book publishing company, and she's like the CEO of this company. Like, she is she is high up on the chain, and Ryan Reynolds is her assistant. And then, out of nowhere, she gets contacted by the visa company, and she's no longer allowed to stay in America because she's a Canadian immigrant, basically. And she has to find a way in order to stay in the country if she wants to keep her job.
Yeah.
Because, you know, America's stupid. Even though she has an incredible job, she's still at risk of being kicked out of the country. So she basically tells her assistant, Ryan Reynolds, that he has to marry her.
Yeah.
Or at least pretend, so that she can stay in the country and that he can keep his job as well. And
because she's an awful boss.
Yeah, she is a horrible person. Like, she's a horrible person. Everyone hates her. Everyone calls her like the witch, like, in the company. So he eventually caves in after making a couple deals, like she's gonna publish his book or something like this, or gonna at least read his book to see if she would be interested in publishing it. But then he ends up going on a trip to go visit his family in, like, this very small town.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he is actually rich. Like, his family owns the town. And she's then just spending this weekend with them, and they have to announce that they're engaged and they're going to get married.
And no one knows that it's all fake.
Yeah, no one knows that it's fake because they need to be convincing. And yeah, they're just spending all this time together, getting to know each other a bit more, because even though they've been working together for years, she knows nothing about him, but he knows everything about her.
Yeah.
Because he's her assistant, and, like, he will even do things like get the same coffee as her just in case something happens to her one, so that she can have his one.
And she knows nothing about him because she's self-centered, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, it's a really cute film, and then, like, they end up falling for each other. One interesting thing about this, though, is because Sandra Bullock is playing the Canadian and Ryan Reynolds is playing the American that she's marrying to stay in the country.
Even though it's the other way around in real life.
in real life, Ryan Reynolds is the Canadian and she's American. So I think that's just, like, a really cool thing.
Doesn't it also have Betty White?
Yes, Betty White is in this film, and that is my next fun fact.
Yeah.
She nearly wasn't in the film.
It wouldn't have been a good film without her.
It would not have been. But she nearly wasn't in the film because she would have had to have been away from her dog for 8 weeks, and that is why she nearly turned it down, because she wanted to stay with her dog.
Hell yeah.
But then she ended up taking it and making it a better film than what it was. So.
Was the dog in the film her actual dog then?
No, that was played by 4 different dogs.
Oh, okay, movie dogs.
Yeah, but I just think it's a really cute film.
Yeah, no, it's actually a really good film.
It also features nude scenes, which is done by both of them. So it's got a nude scene with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock.
But you never actually see anything.
Yeah, you don't see anything, but they had to deal with a little bit of awkwardness on set because, despite the fact that they had coverings, they kept falling off. So it was just Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock just kind of, like, staring at each other with, like, just fully naked.
Yeah.
Being like, I guess we have to be comfortable with this. And Sandra Bullock actually said in an interview that she was happy to do it because the film wouldn't have been as funny without it.
Yeah.
So she did it for the sake of comedy.
And the awkwardness was genuine because it was awkward in the scenes on purpose.
Yeah.
So that was genuine, which is kind of makes it.
It's kind of cool and it's kind of cute. But yeah, I really like the film. I don't have anything else to really say about it.
Okay.
What's your one?
My next one, Seth Rogen's making a return.
Whoop.
So is Paul Rudd, actually. And Jason Segel.
Nice.
And Jonah Hill. And a bunch of ones that have already been in this. So this next one is Knocked Up.
Oh, this is a good film.
I love this film. Came out in 2007. It's a Judd Apatow film. It's actually the film that basically made Judd Apatow. And made Seth Rogen as well. I'm pretty sure it was his first lead in a film, Seth Rogen. It basically was a film that made him a lead actor. So yeah, it's him, Katherine Heigl, Paul Rudd, Leslie Mann, Jason Segel, Jay Baruchel, Jonah Hill, Martin Starr, Alan Tudyk, Kristen Wiig, and so many other people. Like, it's filled with so many awesome actors.
Wait. Alan Tudyk?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's basically about a stoner slacker, Seth Rogen, who accidentally knocks up a hot girl. And then they basically have to try to be good parents. Like, it's about her being pregnant and deciding to keep it, and them basically going through the whole pregnancy thing, and him trying to learn how to be like a normal, actual human being and a good dad, even though he's useless.
And them also deciding if they want to be in a relationship or do it together, or if
after a one-night stand. Yeah, it's them
after...
trying to actually have a relationship and not knowing if it's going to work or not.
Because they are completely different people, because she's quite high-strung.
Yeah.
Very career-oriented.
Yeah, and it ends up going really well. But it's one of the funniest films there is. All of the actors who play Seth's friends in the film all use their real names, like their real first names, which makes it a lot easier, because they're basically his friends in real life as well anyway. And Ken Jeong from Community is also in this.
Oh, yeah.
This blew my mind. I didn't know this. He plays a doctor in this film, right?
Yeah.
He's their doctor.
Yeah.
He's a doctor in real life as well.
What?
Yeah. He is actually a doctor.
What?
Yeah, as well as an actor, he is genuinely a doctor, which is blew my mind. I did write it down. It's Seth's first leading role, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And there's also a scene where Jay Baruchel is forced to ride a roller coaster, despite being terrified of them. He's actually terrified of them in real life, and Judd Apatow promised him that if he did the nude scene, he wouldn't have to do the roller coaster thing. But then they forced him to do the roller coaster thing, and Jason Segel did the nude scene instead, because Jason Segel apparently just loves being nude in films.
Good for him.
Yeah, but so the scenes of Jay Baruchel being absolutely fucking terrified on a roller coaster is him genuinely actually being terrified on the roller coaster, because he hates them.
So sad.
Yeah.
Wasn't it also on the... Like, I think I saw a thing, it was actually on the day where they was at the place to film the roller coaster scene, when Judd Apatow was just like, yeah, by the way...
they just forced him to do it on the day. Also, the word fuck is said 120 times in this movie.
Oh my god.
And Katherine Heigl performed the sex scene with Seth Rogen 2 days after getting engaged.
Aw.
And the kids that are in the film are actually Judd Apatow's kids.
Okay.
And Judd is married to Leslie Mann. So it's Judd and Leslie's kids that were the kids in the film. And most of their lines are just completely improvised.
Yeah.
So most of the lines that they say that are hilarious are literally just the kids saying things and improvising. So it's all like genuine reactions to it and stuff. And like this film is filled with so much trivia and cameos. Like I can't even go list them all. Like there is so many. It's just a really good film. And it's got loads of people from Freaks and Geeks in it. You've got Martin Starr, Jason Segel, who else? A few other people that are from Freaks and Geeks. Like they just end up working together because they were so close friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good film.
Nice.
I've got another film from 2007 next. So do you want me to go for it? Because I think I've got a couple extra on my list anyway.
Sure.
So my other one, also from 2007, Juno. Another film about an accidental pregnancy.
Yeah.
So starring Ellen Page and Michael Cera.
Love Michael Cera.
And also it's got J.K. Simmons and Jason Bateman and Jennifer Garner in it as well. So essentially, Ellen's character gets an unplanned pregnancy as a teenager. And she's like a witty, sarcastic teen, and it's hilarious. And the father is Michael Cera, who is playing, his usual awkward self. And she plans on keeping it and then giving it up for adoption to another couple who can't have their own kids. And it's essentially, the film is about her dealing with, you know, being a pregnant teenager and trying to not stress Michael Cera out while he's focusing on his life, and then basically trying to form some kind of relationship with the parent she's going to give the kid to. And basically the father, who's played by Jason Bateman, of the people that she's giving the child to, falls for her.
Yeah.
And it basically ends up being like him almost having an affair with her. But it's just, you know, it's a really funny film despite being, again, on serious topics. I think I liked really serious topics that are portrayed in a funny light.
Yeah.
It's nice. But yeah, every time I watch this film, it makes me want Sunny D, because she drinks so much Sunny D at the beginning. And the reason why she does that is because it was like a myth that drinking that much vitamin C could give you an abortion, essentially.
Wow.
That's one of the subtle things they put in there.
I thought it was that she was having a craving for it.
Yeah, no, that's actually, well, it's kind of both.
It's portrayed as that, but also okay.
It also won an Oscar.
Did it?
Yeah, it's that good a film. Yeah, and J.K. Simmons, who plays her dad in it, he actually wanted to be in the film so bad that he originally said he just wanted to be in it so that he could play just a background non-dialogue character, just because he really wanted to be in the film after reading the script. And they was like, no, you can be her dad.
That's cute.
Yeah. The whole thing was shot in 31 days. Despite, in the film, it takes place through all seasons. So they had to make it look like, with lighting and stuff like that, it was taking place throughout all of the seasons to mirror the different trimesters of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Even though it was all done in 31 days. The music and the cinematography in it is just really cool. The dialogue
is incredible.
It's a really indie dialogue, and it's down to earth, and it's hilarious.
So one of my favourite things is between Ellen Page and Michael Cera, when she's sitting in a chair looking at him, it's like, your shorts are extra gold today, and he just looks over and is like, thanks, my mum uses colour safe detergent.
Yeah.
And it's just like little nuggets of, excuse the pun, little nuggets of gold. That.
It's got that Kevin Smith-esque, just dry, witty dialogue. I love it.
Because yes, it is about an unwanted pregnancy, but realistically, not a lot happens in the film. It is just following her. Yeah. And then it's just it's the dialogue that makes it just extra special.
It's the way, it's her take on everything that makes it brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, what's your next one? Go for
it. My next one is The F Word, or also what we would know it as What If.
Yeah. This is a good film.
Yeah. So, it stars... God, trying to get words out at the moment. Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan.
Yep.
So they are two people who... So Daniel Radcliffe is dealing with a breakup, and he decides to go to his best friend's party that he's having at his house. And just to try and get out there and stop being such a miserable person, sitting, just doing nothing with his life. And this is where he meets Zoe Kazan, and they get along really well. And it's kind of in the beginning it's all really flirty, and they're hitting it off really well. And then towards the end of the night, when he's walking her home, she's like, oh, here's my number, and then mentions something about her boyfriend in her house. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, you have a boyfriend. And then it's kind of, the whole basis of the film is about them two being best friends and becoming best friends, despite them essentially having feelings for each other, but not doing anything about it because she has a boyfriend. Yeah. And then it's kind of them getting closer and closer, spending time together. At one point she gets stuck in a dress, and he's helping her out and is literally seeing her in her underwear.
It's just extreme sexual tension throughout.
Yeah, but neither of them saying or doing anything about it because they know that it's wrong. She can't cheat on her boyfriend, and she doesn't want to leave him because she likes her boyfriend. Yeah. But she's not sure if she should risk leaving him for the sake of what could be her soulmate, or also could not be her soulmate.
Yeah, because they've been together for years.
Yeah, her and her boyfriend have been together for years, and then she's only known this guy for not a long time at all. Yeah. So it's just, I think it's just, really, it's a really cute indie film.
It's got that indie witty dialogue again in it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of cute seeing their relationship develop, seeing them become closer as friends, and always having that, like, throughout the whole film, you have that will they, won't they, right up until you get to the end.
Yeah.
And even then, when you get to the end, you're still at the will they, won't they, until there's, like, the final reveal at the end.
Yeah, and it's making you question the morality of things.
Yeah.
Is it okay to cheat in this scenario? And
then
like,
also,
it's lots of grey area stuff.
And it also makes you, as the audience, think, like, do I root for them?
Yeah.
Like, is it morally wrong for me to root for them to get together, knowing that she is in a relationship?
Yeah.
And it's got those kind of, like, really interesting questions to have. And Daniel Radcliffe, this was his first, like, contemporary film, so a non-fantasy film. Everything he had done before this was a fantasy film, like Harry Potter.
Huh.
And he said that there was something so great and refreshing about being able to walk on set and, quote-unquote, just talk.
Yeah.
Because that's to him what it was. Like, it was reading the script and just talking with people. And he said it was so refreshing to just have that kind of vibe on set. But also, when this film was originally cast, it was Casey Affleck and Mary Elizabeth Winstead who were originally cast.
Okay. I can imagine that.
After a little while, the director didn't think it was right, and he was like, actually, this would work with younger people. So he then recast Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan. But the funny thing is, Zoe Kazan is actually 2 years older than Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
But she doesn't look it. She looks like a really young person.
She looks a lot younger and, like, has that kind of more innocent vibe to her. So she got cast instead.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see that, like, she got cast to play a younger person despite being older than the original.
Yeah, that happens a lot in some of the films that I was looking up as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting. Like, I think it would have been a very interesting and very different film if it was done with these other people.
Yeah.
But it is a really good film, and also it was called The F Word, and it is still in some places, but they actually changed it in a lot of other places so that then it wouldn't be believed that it should be given a different rating. So, like, the F word, like, is associated with the swear word, but it's not. It's actually about friends. And, yeah, they was worried it was going to get, like, a PG or PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
When it's actually not got anything like that in it, so. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay.
What's your next one?
My next one is another Seth Rogen film, actually.
Nice.
This one is possibly the most recent one on my list. Came out in 2019. Long Shot.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Am I saying her name right?
Is it Charlize or Charlize?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It also features June Diane Raphael and Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
I didn't know Andy Serkis was in it because he plays a character called Parker Wembley, who is like a rich like oligarch who is like really fat and ugly looking, and it's all prosthetics, so you can't even tell it's Andy Serkis.
Huh.
But yeah, that character basically causes Seth Rogen, who is a journalist, to lose his job, basically. It also has Bob Odenkirk in it, who plays like a douchebag president, very Trump-like president. It also has Lisa Kudrow, however you say her name.
Yeah.
And it has Little Yachty in it. Little Yachty as himself. He plays himself.
Of course.
So yeah, basically it's about Seth getting fired. He's a writer, journalist. He gets fired and... Oh no, technically he quits because he is no longer able to write, the truth because his newspaper company is being bought out by an evil tycoon.
Yeah. And
played
isn't
by
it, like...
Andy Serkis.
The story he's writing, if this is the same film that I'm thinking of, is about a like neo-Nazi group.
Yeah.
And he wants to out them for being a neo-Nazi group, but then gets told he can't because of people don't care about it. And
yeah. Well, yeah, 'cause the opening scene of the film is him pretending to be a Nazi despite being a Jew, and he ends up getting half a swastika tattoo in this like neo-Nazi like base, and then he ends up jumping out of the window because they find out it's him, and like lands after like falling out of multiple stories, and then stands up and carries on running, and he ends up getting that tattoo turned into like a smiley face man running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. That's like the opening scene. But yeah, he basically he gets fired and then is trying to find a new job. and he ends up getting a job for his childhood crush / babysitter, who is Charlize Theron, who is now running for president and is like super powerful.
She's like
And-
the leader of like the defense in.
No, she's really high up in the
Yeah.
political ladder, and she's like, she's running for president basically, and they're traveling around the world to like do all these things and on her presidential run, and she hires him to be like the person who's writing about the whole thing,
Yeah.
and basically they end up falling for each other, and it's like super funny because obviously Seth Rogen is hilarious and it's romantic and it's. You know, it really does meet the rom-com definition.
Yeah.
And there's like one of my favorite parts of it. There's a bunch of scenes toward the end where they get really fucked up together.
Yeah.
And they're taking like all kinds of drugs. And because Charlize Theron's never really done drugs before, she like is just having a great time. And they're like so messed up. And then she ends up having to get pulled out of a club to go negotiate with terrorists over the phone.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious. Like, she actually successfully negotiates with terrorists while off her nuts. And it was actually mentioned earlier on in the film, like, oh, I can't have fun and go out and party because, you know, what if I have to negotiate with terrorists? And it happens towards the end. And it's brilliant.
Isn't it like the best way that like she could have ever handled the situation, because she literally is just like, can I be real with you? I can't be asked to deal with this right now. And this is just like a bit excessive, isn't it? And the guy on the phone is like, yeah.
He's like, she's like, you know, my boss, the president, he's a dick. We both know he is, and she manages to avoid like basically all out war. Because she's fucked up on like Mandy and stuff. It's just a really funny film, and it's really good as well. It's got, because it's a very new film and it had budget. It's got a lot of cool scenes in it, and it's done very well.
And what I like about it is like it's such a out there concept. Like this guy who is jobless ending up with like a woman running for president.
Yeah.
So it's like a very out there kind of thing. But their relationship, as you're watching the film, actually grows really organically.
Yeah.
Like you can see exactly how they end up falling for
Because
each other.
he brings out like the relaxed human side of her, and she kind of forces him to be more of an adult. Yeah. And he ends up being like, she ends up being president, and he ends up being the first man instead of the first lady.
He's also the first man.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah. I do like that film. It was a very interesting film to come out for like this kind of thing. Alright, my next one is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yes, this is actually my number 2. This is my number 2.
So this came out in 2008, and it's starring Michael Cera again, because I'm actually such a sucker for a rom-com with Michael Cera. And it's also got Kat Dennings, who
shows up on our list a few times.
And she was also in House Bunny. But so the basis of the film is Nick has recently got out of a relationship with this very horrible person, and he's like been depressed for ages, but then he's in a band and they convince him to go out and play this gig, and also to try and find a band called Where's Fluffy.
Yeah.
And so they go out to play this gig, and Kat Dennings also goes out to this gig, also looking for Where's Fluffy with her friend. And then Nick's ex shows up to this gig as well, but with a new guy, and she's like making out with him, basically showing him off because she can. But this person is also Nora's friend, and keeps basically just like being mean to Nora, being like, oh yeah, like she can't really get a guy. Maybe when you go off to college, someone will like you, because you know that's when guys start to like smart girls. Basically being like, you're unattractive, blah blah blah. And then
to Kat Dennings, possibly the most
I know,
attractive
right?
person in the world.
And then because she's all this like feeling really low, and she wants to prove that she can get a boyfriend, she walks up to Nick, this guy that she's never met, and is like, can you pretend to be my boyfriend? And she ends up starting to kiss him, and then like the whole thing is them pretending, not knowing that they have Nick's ex-girlfriend in common.
Yeah.
So it's like, sorry, I explained that very badly, but yeah, that's how it all starts, and then the rest of the night is them trying to find the band Where's Fluffy, but also Nora's other friend who came out to the gig with her gets so unbelievably drunk and also goes missing.
Oh, yeah.
So the night is between them trying to find this friend, but also trying to find the band who are doing like an exclusive gig.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's all of this, then it's just Nick and Nora trying to find all this stuff together, and like they've both of them have lost their friends, and they're just kind of hanging out together,
And
trying to get along.
met each other.
Yeah, they've just met each other, but Nora actually kind of, like, you see in the beginning, first like 10 minutes, she's actually already fallen for Nick without knowing it, because Nick would make playlists for his ex-girlfriend, and she would throw them away, and Nora would find them and listen to the music, and she loved his music taste and these cute little playlists that he would make.
Yeah, hence the title, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yeah. So it kind of has this really sweet thing where she's already fallen for him and doesn't know, and like we'd know.
Yeah.
And it's just both of them dealing with these really like crappy relationships, because she's also got this guy who like is like her rebound kind of guy, who's played by Jay Baruchel actually.
Yeah.
And he's a dick. He's with her because her dad is the owner of a record company.
Yeah.
And he's just using her, and then like Nick's ex-girlfriend is using him.
There is so many actors that are showing up in all of our all
Yeah.
of these films together. So they are literally, it's like a big circuit of just amazing comedy actors that all do these films.
And it's just really sweet seeing this like whole night unfold, and trying to follow it, like trying to follow on with the whole story. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it became like more of a cult classic, really, because not many people actually know the film.
Well, I mean, it's number 2 on my list.
Yeah. I found this film by accident one day, and then I just fell in love with it.
I love it. It's got a great soundtrack. It's really quirky.
Yeah, another really indie film.
I love it. It's so good. Alright, you got anything else to add?
No.
Alright, so my next one, try and speed things along because don't want to run out of time because still got a few. So this next one is Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Oh god.
Came out in 2008. Again, filled with nudity. But more importantly, it's Kevin fucking Smith.
Yes.
One of the greatest people who has ever lived. So, again, starring Seth Rogen. So it stars Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks, who are two broke friends who basically decide to make a porn together to make money because they're broke. And then they end up falling for each other. The film also features Jason Mewes because, you know, it's a Kevin Smith film, so of course it has Jay Mewes in it. It has Craig Robinson, Jen Schwalbach, who is Kevin's wife, and Justin Long. All amazing actors. So the film is just a comedy masterpiece, just like all of Kevin Smith's work. This is his highest grossing film. I mean, for me, it's not his best film, but it's his highest grossing film.
I would say it's his most commercial film.
Yeah. The reason why is because it's starring Seth Rogen, and Seth Rogen had been in a lot. He was big by this point.
Yeah.
And this was actually written for Seth. Kevin wrote this with Seth in mind and said that if Seth had said no, he wouldn't have made it.
Aw.
Yeah. The F word in this film is said 229 times.
Wow.
Yep. And so, I mean, it's great. And there's a sex scene in it where Jay Mewes flips his hair over his head, covering his back. And he does that to hide a tattoo he had of Kevin Smith's daughter's name, Harley Quinn Smith. And
it's just Harley Quinn though, isn't it? It's not Harley Quinn Smith.
Yeah.
It's tattooed on him.
Yeah. And so that's funny. And then there's Katie Morgan, who's one of the porn actors in this. Because obviously, you know, they hire a bunch of porn actors to get this big porn film together. Well, she's actually a porn star in real life.
Oh.
And she was in a porn film that's a Star Trek spoof film that they actually, like, reference in it a bunch of times. And Miri, who's played by... Elizabeth Banks. She was originally meant to be played by Rosario Dawson.
Huh.
Which makes sense with Kevin Smith uses Rosario Dawson a lot because she's great. But her schedule meant that she couldn't, so they got Elizabeth Banks in. And she did a really good job.
Yeah.
It's also just like full of different like porn film references and like obscure porn references and and obviously loads of Kevin Smith movie references from the View Askew universe because Kevin Smith does that all the time with all of his films.
Yeah.
and loads of other nerdy references, because that's just what Kevin Smith does in his films. And it's just such a good film. It's got, I mean, loads of nudity, obviously, but it's not like, it's not excessive somehow.
And it's not distasteful. Like, you can look at it and be like, oh, yeah, like, you get a lot less for what you would expect for a film that is literally about making a porno.
Yeah. Even though, like, even though it is also just, like, really dirty for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what's your next one?
So my next one is actually a Christmas film.
A Christmas film?
I know, it's disgusting. So, that is Love Actually. Came out in 2003.
Okay.
And it's following the lives of 8 different families or couples or just like people in the month leading up to Christmas.
Never actually seen this, by the way.
Oh. Well, so it follows like all these different people, all leading very different lives. So there's so I'm just gonna list some of the people who are in the cast. So Bill Nighy.
Love him.
Colin Firth, Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson, Chris Marshall, Martin Freeman.
I love Martin Freeman as well.
It doesn't even have. There was someone I was going. Alan Rickman is in it.
Hell yeah. Keira Knightley.
Like, there are so many people in this film because it's following so many different people's lives.
Yeah.
So, just to mention, like, some of the people. So, Colin Firth is someone who's dealing with, like, a bad breakup. He's moved off to the country and he lives in, like, this tiny little cabin with a woman who doesn't speak English.
Okay.
So, like, their relationship is just about them getting to know each other with this huge language barrier. But he ends up falling for her. Keira Knightley is a woman who just got married, but then the person who she married, like, so her husband's best friend, is actually in love with her. And he admits it, like, on Christmas Eve. It's like these kind of things. Chris Marshall, I don't even know what he does. He's just, like, a guy that just kind of hangs around. He's just, like, a bum in the film, and he's like, I've got big dreams.
Who's Chris Marshall?
So I'm going to show you a quick picture of him, because I...
No, but who's he played by?
No, this is...
Oh, that
is his name.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I recognise him.
One of my favourite things in the film is that he moves off to America.
Yeah.
And these people, there's these, like, women that were like, oh my god, where are you from? And he goes, Essex. Actually, no, do you know what he does? He goes, Basildon.
Really?
Yes.
Nice. Represent our hometown.
It made me so happy when I first watched the film because he says it in such a way if someone says to me, now that I'm not living in Basildon, when they go, where are you from? And I'm like, Basildon.
Basildon.
Like, it's in, like, the way that you say it.
Yeah.
And also, Hugh Grant in it. He plays the new Prime Minister, who ends up falling in love with one of the people who work at the, inside Downing Street. So, it's like, yeah, all of these different lives, and then toward the end, all of these different people end up, you see their lives crossing.
Yeah.
So, the girl that Hugh Grant falls in love with is going to a Christmas play, and then at that play, there is Thomas Brodie Sangster, who is very young in this film.
Yeah.
He's Liam Neeson's son, who is also, like, showing up to this because he is in the play, or in the musical. And then there's also Emma Thompson is Liam Neeson's sister.
Okay.
And then Alan Rickman is cheating on Emma Thompson with a different woman who... I can't remember, like, there's, like, so many different layers, and then you find this all out at the end of the film. And I really love films that do this. And I thought I'd just, like, grab a couple of different, like, bits about the film just because there's so much going on with it. Like, there's a lot of people in it. Oh, it also has Rowan Atkinson, who was intended to play an angel, but he ended up not playing an angel, like an actual legit angel.
Okay.
But ended up not, but he works behind a counter at, like, a really fancy shop, and he sells a necklace to Alan Rickman just to be like, oh yeah, this, and he's like, oh, do you want me to gift wrap it for you? And there's, like, this really excessive gift wrapping scene because of it's Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
But
comedic genius.
So Chris Marshall, you know, the guy from Basildon, he returned his paycheck for a scene where he was in America because all these American women are fawning over him because he's British. And basically, their job, like the American women, was to undress him and basically having all this, like, really sexy scene. So he returned his paycheck because he was like, I had so much fun. We did 21 takes of this. He was like, I feel like I don't deserve to get paid for it because I had such a good time. So he returned his paycheck for it. And also, the director of the film, he kept saying he wanted someone like Laura Linney to play one of the characters.
Yeah.
He had so many people come in and audition, and he was like, I can't find someone like Laura Linney. So then the casting director, and this is a quote, gave up and said, "For fuck's sake, just cast Laura Linney then." So they gave her a phone call, she auditioned and got the part.
God damn
And
it.
also, Thomas Brodie Sangster plays the drums in one of the scenes in, like, the school play.
Nice.
But he didn't know how to when he was cast. But his dad knew how to play.
So taught him.
So his dad taught him so that he could keep his role.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's everything about that film. It's a great Christmas film if you're looking for, like, something as we're going into that.
I'll watch it this Christmas.
Hell yeah.
My next one is 50 First Dates, so you've already done that, so
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
skip over that. My one after is another Kevin Smith film. This is my favourite rom-com by Kevin Smith. It's came out in 1997,
Yep.
year I was born. Chasing Amy.
Ah, yes.
I love this film so much. So it's by Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier. They work together a lot. It's basically Ben Affleck and Joey Lauren Adams are the leads. And obviously it features Jay and Silent Bob because, it's a Kevin Smith film. Although they're only in it a little bit. So despite this, it's a pretty serious and emotional film. Like, it's not really that comedic. It is still a rom-com, but it's more serious than it is comedic.
Yeah.
Which is unlike Kevin Smith. And it also features Ethan Suplee, Jason Lee, Casey Affleck, Matt Damon, and, plenty of other of the View Askew universe usual characters. So it's about Affleck's character, who is a comic artist, falling in love with a lesbian played by Joey Adams, to the displeasure, I can't speak English, of his roommate and his friend played by Jason Lee.
Right.
So it's the third film in Kevin's View Askew universe, so it's early in Kevin's filmmaking career.
Yeah.
But, like, it's kind of, again, it's another, like, anti-rom-com, because they end up not staying together, in the end.
Yeah.
Like, they don't get together in the end, and it's just a great love and loss story. And everyone still ends up happy.
Yeah.
The dialogue is phenomenal. It touches upon lots of, like, relationship and philosophical issues that don't really get spoken about a lot.
And also, as you said, like, she's played by a lesbian. Like, that actually acknowledges something in that time that wasn't
It's
really
about
brought up.
Yeah, it's about someone falling in love with a lesbian and then kind of trying to have a relationship, but she doesn't. She is.
Can't.
It's
herself
more
to it,
complicated than that. And yeah, it's a lot of touching upon, like, Jason Lee's character hating the fact that he's with a lesbian and.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just, it touches upon those things, but the whole film is actually based on Kevin Smith's experience with his ex, or his then-time actual girlfriend, Joey Lauren Adams.
Wow.
Him and Joey Lauren Adams, who is actually playing the lead girl in this film, were together at the time, and it was actually about that. Which, I mean, well done, Kevin Smith, punching above your weight, because at this time, Kevin Smith was a big guy, and
Yeah.
Joey Lauren Adams is ridiculously hot.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but it's essentially a biographical story of Kevin and Joey's past relationship.
Wasn't she heavily, like... She was actually quite influential in the writing of it, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Like, she put in a lot of input.
Yeah, because
being,
Kevin
like,
Smith wanted to make it such autobiographical and kind of teach people what he learned from it. So he brought her in and asked if she'd be alright, like, helping with the writing and being part of it, basically. And she was actually, like, a really, like, relaxed person that wasn't overly emotional or serious. So whenever she did these really emotional, big dramatic things in her acting, it, like, blew Kevin away because he'd never seen her like that. Ben Affleck was also involved in the writing process quite heavily.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of, like, writing and producing and
Yep.
directing stuff.
The whole film was shot in just 20 days.
Oh my god.
Yeah, mental. And the Blunt Man and Chronic comics, which are starring Jay and Silent Bob, that are written by Ben Affleck's character in the film, they were actually created and made in real life by Kevin. There was 3 issues, and they were published through Image Comics.
Right.
So I definitely need to buy them. The movie is actually Kevin Smith's personal favourite film of his. Like,
Aww.
It's his favourite film that he has ever made. And it was Quentin Tarantino's favourite film of 1997.
Nice.
Yeah. And the song that Joey sings in the film was actually written by her.
Oh, that's cool.
It was originally meant to be like a country song, but then Kevin wanted to rock it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And during the making of the film, Jay Muse was still, like, really severely struggling with drug addiction.
Yeah.
but I mean, you can't tell in the film because
Yeah.
he's actually a good actor. And there is like a ridiculous, like hundreds of comic and film references in this film, because Kevin Smith does it all the time, especially in his early ones. There's so many references, and there's even a few scenes that were like taken out of Mallrats and then thrown into this. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I love it so much. Right.
How many more do you have?
I still have 2 more.
Okay, so you give another one, I'll do one, then you got the final one.
Okay. Well, technically I have 3 more, but one of them was Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, so
Right.
you've already taken that. All right, I'll take Adventureland then.
All right.
Yep. So this one came out in 2009, starring Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg, but it also has Ryan Reynolds, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, and Martin Starr. So again, Ryan Reynolds has showed up a few times. Bill Hader showed up a few times. Kristen Wiig showed up a few times. Martin Starr's also shown up a few times. Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg are new to this list. They are so good in this.
Oh my god, yeah.
Before I saw this film, I genuinely thought Kristen Stewart was a terrible actor. And every time I ever hear people say she's terrible because of Twilight, I just show them this film because she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it's set in the summer of 1987, where recent college grad James Brennan, played by Eisenberg, is making big plans to tour Europe and attend graduate school in pursuit of a career in journalism. However, financial problems and the fact that his parents suck force him to look for a summer job instead of travelling abroad.
Yeah.
Which then places him at Adventureland, which is a rundown amusement park in western Pennsylvania, which is actually a real amusement park in real life, but they couldn't actually film it there, so they had to film somewhere else.
Yeah.
Although they still filmed in a real amusement park. They just changed the names of the rides. So when he's there, he meets Emily Lewin, who is played by Kristen Stewart, who is a co-worker with whom he develops a quick rapport and a relationship.
Yeah.
However, it turns out that Ryan Reynolds is actually having an affair with his wife with Kristen Stewart's character, which then causes loads of issues with Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart's blossoming love. Right?
Yes.
So it's a really complicated thing, but it's basically just a teenage love story featuring affairs and loads of working class tragedies. But it's fucking hilarious, and the dynamic between all the characters is brilliant. It's got that really indie dialogue again the whole way through
very
it.
dialogue heavy.
Yeah, it's got an amazing soundtrack. And also, these are some fun facts. There were crews that were hired to remove and hide snowfall and snow accumulation during the filming because the film was shot in the winter months, but it wasn't set then. And in some indoor scenes, there were extras paid to block windows and doors so that snowfall wouldn't be visible on camera.
Oh,
And you would not notice it during the film either.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader, despite playing quite like big parts, were only on set for 4 days. So all of the scenes with their characters, Paulette and Bobby was their names, had to be condensed and shot quickly due to their commitments to Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just full of hilarious, dry, witty, quotable lines, such as this one here. I think somebody was trying to write Satan lives on that wall, but they spelled it Satin lives. And then Emily replies, one of those textile worshipping cults, no doubt. Like, it's just got loads of like really witty things like that.
Yeah.
And I just love clever dialogue in films.
It's because they do it in such a way where, like, yes, it's very staged.
Yeah.
Like, very staged dialogue, but it's almost
It feels real. Yeah.
Like, you could imagine having these conversations with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so my final one, my favourite film.
Hang on,
like
I can
would be
tell you
here.
what it is already, because it was on my honourable mentions, and I know what it is. It's Crazy Stupid Love, right?
Of course it is. So, this is yet another one of those films where it follows multiple different storylines. So, just to name some of the people who are in the film. Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling.
Another Emma Stone?
Another
feature.
Emma Stone feature, yeah. And this is also one of 3 films, I believe it is, where Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling star together.
Yeah.
And they're in a relationship. So it's 3 films together that they are in, where they are in a relationship together.
Yeah.
The other one is La La Land, and I can't remember the other one, but I feel like it's got something to do with gangsters.
Okay.
But, so the main thing is that Steve Carell and Julianne Moore are married, and then out of nowhere she decides that she wants a divorce because she cheated on him. So she cheated on him because she wasn't feeling fulfilled in their relationship, and then she's like, I want a divorce. So now it's about Steve Carell trying to figure out how to be single when he's in his 40s.
Yeah.
And that's when he finds Ryan Gosling, a bachelor who's been who's been out on the prowl for a very long time. Like, he is just like...
He's a player,
He is
as
a
it
player.
were.
Yeah, he is a player. And he literally just goes to bars to pick up women, and he's literally, like, picking up a woman every night. But he's not very happy in his life, which you find out slowly later. And then, after Steve Carell becomes, like, a ladies' man, he, like, Ryan Gosling, is slowly falling for this other woman.
Yeah.
Who's Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And she's this, like, she wants to live a better life. I think she wants to be a lawyer. And she's just kind of doing her thing. She's just finished law school. She's just going about her life. And then she just wants to have a bit more life in her life. So that's when she just goes to this bar, goes back to Ryan Gosling, who flirted with her one time before. So she goes back to him and is like, you are taking me home tonight.
And at this point, Steve Carell has basically taught him to actually be a decent human being, even though Ryan Gosling's been teaching him the opposite.
Yeah. So Ryan Gosling is just like, alright, cool, yeah, I'll take you home. And this is the first time in basically his entire life that he's taken someone home and he didn't sleep with her that night because she got too drunk. So she just, like, spends the whole night just, like, chatting to him, like, talking his ears off, and then passing out, essentially. And he's like, oh, okay. And then slowly, like, their relationship blossoms. And then it's kind of like, by the time you get to the end of the film, you find out that Emma Stone is actually Steve Carell's daughter.
Yeah.
And then...
So Steve Carell punches him in the face, right?
So Steve Carell, like, punches him in the face. And then...
It's another one of those things where there's multiple stories and then they all combine and come
so
together.
that's the kind of thing that it is. And then there's also Steve Carell's babysitter. So, like, he also has 2 younger children. His babysitter is actually in love with him. And that babysitter is his best friend's daughter. So then when out of one day, he, like, his best friend finds out that she likes him and she basically says that she's in love with him, he ends up getting angry, going over to their house and beating up Steve Carell.
Yeah. Steve Carell is none the wiser and doesn't even know this is happening.
He doesn't know that this girl has a crush on him. So...
Because he's a teenage girl.
Yeah, she's just like a little, like, teenage girl. And, yeah, so we've got, like, all of these different layers. And then David Lenhagen shows up, who is played by Kevin Bacon, who is the guy that Steve Carell's wife, Julianne Moore, cheated on him with. So it's all of these, like, layers, and they all end up meeting together in this one, like...
It's one
afternoon,
yeah.
Where Steve Carell's trying to win back his ex-wife because he realised that he actually is in love with her.
Yeah, and it's just chaos.
And yeah, it is absolute chaos. So much happens. So just, like, a couple of interesting things about this. The name David Lenhagen is said in the film 19 times, which isn't a lot, but at the same time...
He's not in the film at all until right at the end.
Yeah, you don't actually see him. Like, you see him just, like, a couple times throughout just being, like, a dick. But he is shown so many times because it's, like... I think it's also, like, between the name David Lindhagen and the word cuckold.
Yeah.
Because...
Cuckold.
Cuckold, yeah. So, that word is also said so many times because Steve Carell says it, like, he's just like, I have been cuckolded by David Lindhagen. And also, Steve Carell hates the name of the film. He doesn't like that it's called Crazy Stupid Love. He thought it should be called The Wingman. And mainly because he couldn't imagine teenage boys, or, like, you know, fairly older men, going to the cinema and saying, 5 tickets to Crazy Stupid Love, please.
Well, yeah, because I didn't even know this film existed, and I didn't until you made me watch it.
Yeah, because it is a good film.
Because it does sound like a full-on chick flick, but it's not. So, I agree. I don't think it should have been called that, even though it's a good name, because it does put people off. It makes you think that it's something else.
Yeah. And then Emma Stone and the girl who plays the babysitter, so Emma Stone's portrayed as a 25-year-old, and the babysitter is portrayed as 17 years old.
Yeah.
But they actually are only a few days apart in their real age.
Yeah.
So they have 8 years between them in, like, their characters, but are only a few days separate in age, which is, I just think it's really cool, like, movie magic as to how they managed to do it in, like, costume design and makeup.
Yeah.
Just to make them look as completely different ages. But it's a really brilliant film. I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, no, it is a brilliant film.
It's done really well. Like, really, like, there's a lot of really clever bits in it as well. But yeah, that's that. What's your final one?
Okay, I'm going to try and be quick here. I've got a lot to say, but we're really running low on time. So my final one is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Came out in 1999, starring Heath Ledger, who's one of my favourite actors of all time, and Julia Stiles. The opening theme is 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies, which I've played and covered, so go check that out on my YouTube. Just saying.
Yeah.
Cheeky little
plug.
Little plug there. And then it kind of transitions into Joan Jett's Bad Reputation because it's blaring out of Julia Stiles' character's car.
And it definitely like paints her character so
well. And the car is just like a rust bucket, and I love it. It's so cool. And watching it back, we watched it last night. Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt have such baby faces in this. They're so young.
Oh, yes.
But essentially, the film is like a Shakespearean Taming of the Shrew remake. It's a high school love experience filled with Shakespeare quotes and references. Heath Ledger's character was essentially my idol, and I pretty much acted like him all the time at school. Not on purpose.
Yeah, because you probably hadn't even seen it when you were in school.
Yeah, probably. Obviously, he's far more confident, inspirational, and probably more attractive, but I acted like him. Like, his character when he was at school is basically how I acted at school. Yeah, also, the film has just, like, awesome camera angles and, like, 360 spins on conversations. It's got an awesome soundtrack. Really clever dialogue, including, but not limited to, some of these quotes. Can you ever just be whelmed? Instead of, like, overwhelmed and underwhelmed.
Yeah, I know you can be overwhelmed and you could be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed?
Yeah. And then there's, it's just a party. Yeah, and hell is just a sauna. Like, she's meeting some bikers, big ones, full of sperm. What is it with this chick? She have beer-flavoured nipples? Like, there's so many amazing quotes in it. And the outro band performing on the roof is just awesome.
Yeah.
Of this, like, roof on this, like, really old, like, massive school which looks like a church. And it's also got outtakes and like things that were cut from the film that are just perfect and hilarious at the end during the credits, and they're so funny. So have I ever even said what the film's about?
Kind of. Okay. If you know Taming of the Shrew, you know what this is about.
Yeah. So I'll give you some trivia. The scene where Kat reads the 10 Things poem was the first and only take.
Oh, no.
According to the DVD extras, yep. And Kat's tears towards the end of the poem were real and not planned.
Oh, God. Like, hearing her like voice break actually makes me want to cry every time watching this film. Oh, my God.
The entire film was also shot using real locations. There were no sets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And according to the 10th anniversary commentary by the cast, Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles began dating during the filming.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw something about
But they broke up in January 2000.
Yeah.
Several names reflect the Shakespearean origin of the Taming of the Shrew. Bianca and Kat's last name is Stratford, which is William Shakespeare was born in Stratford-upon-Avon. Patrick's last name is Verona, which is the birthplace of Petruchio, the corresponding character from the play. The high school was called Padua, which is the city in which the play is set. And the two sisters' names are Caterina and Bianca, which is the same as in the play.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there's loads of references to Shakespeare stuff, loads of references to other films and stuff as well.
They actually have, like, when we was watching it, I noticed there are, like, a couple of actual direct quotes from the play as well.
Yeah, they do that quite a bit.
Which is Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he first sees Bianca, and he's like, I can't remember the first part of it, but it's like, I pine, I perish.
Yeah.
Like, it's very... You notice it in the dialogue, and it's kind of sweet seeing the little like nod to the original.
And the big scene with like the big band and it's Heath Ledger singing it and stuff.
Oh
Obviously,
my God,
he did actually sing that. It's such a good shot, and I think I read that it was a helicopter shot that was doing that,
right?
And he was so nervous because it was like every single time he would make a mistake, it'd be like another £500 to get the helicopter back up to do it. So he had to just do it in as few things as possible.
Oh, bless him.
But yeah, it's such a good film.
It really is.
I feel like we need to explain what it is because we still haven't really explained it. How would you explain the film?
So how it is kind of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt wants to date Bianca, but Bianca's not allowed to date unless her older sister is.
Yeah.
So then they recruit
the bad boy
to date her because she is known to be the shrew. She is
a bitch.
Yeah, she is a bitch.
Yeah.
She's very hard to be around because she's like feminist and doesn't want to abide by the rules.
Yeah, and then they end up falling in love, essentially.
Yeah, they end up actually falling in love because, and everything works out for everyone in the end.
Yeah.
It's just got a lot of those horrible moments in between of like, he's being paid to go out with her.
And then she finds out.
She finds out all these kind of things, but...
It is definitely... It's one of my favourite films of all time. It really is a good film.
It is beautiful.
It's timeless as well, somehow. Alright, so that's our best romantic comedies.
Yeah, we went on a bit.
Yeah, we went on a bit. Sorry about that. you enjoyed it. I just want to say, we've now kind of figured out what the best rom-com actors of all time are.
Oh, yes.
Heath Ledger, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, Ryan Reynolds, Kat Dennings, Paul Rudd, Jason Segel, Zooey Deschanel, Joey Adams,
Anna Faris,
a few others. They are by far the best rom-com actors of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Hope you enjoyed this installment of the As Yet Untitled podcast.
It's been fun looking into all these things, and if you like any other romantic comedies that we haven't mentioned, or you think we've missed basically an entire section of the rom-com category,
Yeah. Or if
Let
you've got
us
some
know.
trivia that
Yeah.
we didn't mention, please tell us.
please let us know. As you know, we always like to learn more.
Yep. Follow us at the As Yet Untitled podcast. Check out our previous episode on Awesome Animals, and the next episode is going to be about our favourite comic characters.
Yeah, so just check us out there, because you'll find out a lot more about us, and it's something very different to what we've usually done with looking at films or TV or anything. This is going a little bit further.
Comic characters. It's going to be sick.
Let us
My
know what you
nerdy
think.
thoughts can come out finally.
We'll talk at you another time.
Peace.
Bye.